Hey guys, Jimmy here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing the release of the Ford GTE car for iRacing and my thoughts, hopes and opinions on the direction of the sim in general. As you have probably guessed, this is going to be a bit of a talky video, so if you're here to watch me drive, I suggest maybe you close this video and wait for the next one. However, in the background going to be some awesome footage sent over to me by Marie, a really cool member of our Discord community, of her having a freeway Porsche Cup battle at Le Mans. It's cool footage, so hopefully it'll give you something to look at while I'm rambling over the top of it. So here is the tweet that came from iRacing announcing the Ford GTE car. I'll read it out to you guys. We previously announced that we licensed and that we are building the Ferrari 488 GTE cars, what we would know about already. What we did not announce, but I'm happy to announce now, is that we also licensed the Ford GTE car that won Le Mans last year. I'm also glad to say both cars are completed and submitted for manufacturer approval, which seems to suggest that they're going to be early quite soon. This is sort of reinforced a bit later on in the tweet, because the tweet says, however, our hope is both or at least one car will be in the early June build, meaning that hopefully we're going to have a GTE car to play with soon. Now, when the Ferrari was initially announced, my initial thoughts were actually quite mixed. I thought that it would be a really cool addition to the sim, but I was also struggling to see where it fit into the current schedule. Now that I've had a bit more time to think about it and the new information that's come to light, of course, is the Ford GT, I'm hoping that we are seeing the start of something quite exciting in iRacing. But before I talk about that a little bit more, I want to talk about what I would personally like to see from iRacing. I mean, it's no secret I'm a massive endurance fan, both in real life and in sim. I currently take part in the Sim Racing Club Virtual Endurance Championship, of course, in the glorious GNS Nissan. It's because of this series that I'm often asked about my stance towards endurance racing and iRacing. I mean, I've had so many people ask me to come race for their team in endurance races, even with the upcoming 24 Hours of Le Mans in iRacing. Thinking about it actually, during my sim racing career, in air quotes, I've only really taken part in 2 longer than 6-hour races in iRacing. Other than that, I've just not really had the interest. For me, personally, the service still lacks things that I want from a sim regarding endurance racing. First and foremost, as an LMP1 driver in VEC, is iRacing lacks an LMP1. Now, iRacing already have a really great hybrid model in the McLaren F1 car, so it'd be really cool to see it actually used elsewhere. The old HBD P2 car is a car that I never really got on with anyway, to be honest. I always felt it to be, I never quite got on with how it handled. But we're in 2017 now, and we still have that car as the option for the fastest class, and at this point in time it sort of feels a bit limiting. On the subject of P2s, a more recent representation of a P2 class would be very, very welcome. Of course, I understand that the time frame for a car being relevant is very small. The McLaren F1 car is a great example of that. But racing HBDs and GT1s in a time when hybrid and really fast GTE cars are king, it just feels odd, it doesn't feel right. The other major factor that's missing for me in the iRacing endurance racing is day-night transition. Now, I know that iRacing 24 Hours of Daylight it's sort of a meme at this point, isn't it? I've been involved in numerous race spot endurance races when commentating and seeing the chat, same questions coming out each time. You know, when's it going to get dark? Has it got dark yet? Is the sun going down? Stuff like that. And it's a very valid question. A major part of the immersion for me personally of racing at a track like Le Mans is when the track starts to slip into dusk. The shadows lengthen before disappearing, and then the track is lit up by 60 plus sets of headlights. It may not be a deal breaker to a lot of people, but a change in time of day is synonymous with endurance racing for me. To the credit of iRacing, they have addressed this, so I feel like it's going to be a matter of when as opposed to a matter of if. This last point is sort of minor in the grand scheme of things, but iRacing still adheres to a 5 model limit in races. What this basically means, to use a real life example, let's say you've got Formula 1, it means there only be 5 teams or 5 different variants of cars allowed in that race, so the other 6 or 7 wouldn't be allowed to drive because there's just no room for them in the server. I've heard a couple of reasons for this. I think it's probably down to iRacing trying to cater to those on lower end machines, but I'd argue that if you have iRacing and if you have a lot of models already in the game, then you can afford to update your PC. And of course, given the diversity of real life series like GTE and GT3, it sort of means that we always end up with a very limited car choice. I mean, despite all the cons of racing in RF2 online, and trust me, there are a lot, there has never ever been an issue with the amount of models in the same race. Now I want to go on to what I hope/think is going to happen with iRacing in the future. I feel like these GTE releases are the start of a new set of endurance cars. The 919 hybrid rumour, at least around the people I know anyway, has not gone away. It's still sort of lingering around. Of course, this would sort of make sense given the recent-ish Porsche partnership with iRacing and its inclusion in other sims such as Assetto Corsa. The other possibility is IMSA. With the GTE cars, that IMSA series would now closer reflect real life with the GTD and GTE classes. Balancing the HPD with the Daytona prototype currently in iRacing would also give a more varied / interesting prototype field in the absence of the DPI car, which again, you know, iRacing have had a partnership with Cadillac in the past, so maybe it would be cool to see them reignite that and maybe get some cool Cadillac scanning going on, because that would be awesome to have in iRacing. Both these possible additions are something that I would personally love to see in the sim. I sometimes race in the Proto GT series, and outside of the Strength of Field race on Wednesday and perhaps a couple of splits on the weekend, the series is pretty much dead. All the races I've taken part in so far in that series, there's only really been participation from the GT1 class and the prototype field. The GT2 Fords are very rare. I lie, so I think I've taken part in one race where there's been one GT2 Ford which just won by default just by being there, so I thought it says something about the state of that series when only 2 classes are being filled. That said, I think a couple of new cars, especially a new prototype, will breathe much needed life back into that series and would definitely draw myself in to do more races. As always guys, I would love to hear your opinions down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you really enjoyed it, hit subscribe to be notified of future videos. Again, a massive thank you to Marie for the footage. Take care guys, have an awesome day. See you next time.